All right, I am at the wedding venue and I am going to be delivering my first wedding cake, dairy free. Oh, I'm so nervous because it took about 18 minutes to get here and there were some bumps and things like that, but nothing serious. But hey guys, I'm back. In today's video, I am showing you my wedding cakes, the first time I've made a wedding cake, and the challenges that I had. This is a dairy-free wedding cake, and I also made some cupcakes which were sugar-free. So there were some things that I learned during this time, but I had lots of fun. So sit back and hopefully you will enjoy this next video. Okay, I start off by combining my dry ingredients as usual. I am adding white whole wheat flour here to a Tupperware container, all-purpose flour, and I use Tupperware containers, as you probably know by now, because I combine and store my dry ingredients for prepping until I am ready to bake the actual cakes. And then here I am adding coffee. This is my chocolate cake, and I usually add coffee to my chocolate cakes. Adding baking soda and baking powder. And some salt and cocoa powder. I mix all of that together. Label it and then set it aside for when I'm ready, for when I'm doing my baking day. Next, I prep the dry ingredients for my lemon cake by adding white whole wheat flour, all-purpose flour. The flour that I use, the all-purpose flour that I use, is always unbleached and never enriched. And then I add baking powder and baking soda to the dry mixture, and salt. And then this is a new thing that I've been doing with my white cakes, or white or vanilla or lemon cake in this case. I add sugar because I'm doing the reverse creaming method. I don't cream my sugar and butter together anymore. I've been using the reverse cream method, and then you'll see that a little bit later. So I label the lemon cake dairy free, and then move on to just adding some applesauce to a Tupperware container to set aside to bring it down to room temperature for when I'm ready for baking. And then I begin on baking day to prepare my pans and my wet ingredients. I start off with coconut milk here instead of the cow's milk, and then avocado oil. This is preparing for the chocolate cake. Egg, vanilla extract, and then the applesauce. The applesauce is not only cutting back on the oil that I use, but it also makes the cake very, very moist. And then I add my sugar. Mix all of that together. And then I get my dry ingredients for my chocolate cake. Here I am actually doing something that I usually don't do, which is sift all the ingredients together. And I did this because my cocoa powder, I usually sift that separately, but I did not sift it. I forgot to. So I went ahead and just sifted everything. And then I'm slowly adding my wet ingredients to the dry. And for my chocolate cakes, I add just a little bit of very hot boiling water to the cake mixture, to the cake batter, just to bring out that coffee and chocolate flavor. And I am weighing my pans here because I want to make sure that I got an even amount of cake batter in both pans. And here I am working on my lemon cake by adding coconut milk and a little bit of vinegar, because I found that you can actually make buttermilk, coconut buttermilk, instead of the usual dairy buttermilk that I make for my cakes. And then I add my vanilla extract and 2 eggs. Mix all of that together. Add some avocado oil. I'm learning that adding oil and butter to my vanilla cakes is actually making them more moist. So I've been doing that lately. And here I had my lemon soaking in some water and vinegar because I'm going to use it for lemon zest. So I wanted to make sure it was nice and clean before I actually used the zest off of it. I add the zest to my dry ingredients and mix all that together. My cakes came out very nice, but I did not add the skirts to the bottom, which made them form a little bit of a dome while they were in the oven. There was a little dome on the top of the cakes, but that's okay. I set those aside, chocolate cakes aside, and then I add my dairy-free vegan butter to the dry mixture. And this is the reverse creaming method, where you add the butter to the dry mixture and then just keep mixing until the butter is coated by the dry ingredients and turns into little pieces of butter. The butter that I use is a vegan butter with no lactic acid, because the groom was very lactose intolerant. He couldn't even have any butters that had lactic acid in them. So the butter was made with avocado oil and some other things. Minimal ingredients and all natural. Combine the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients and the butter. It was still a little bit lumpy because the butter, of course, did not dissolve. And that was okay. And then add the lemon as the last ingredient to the cake batter. And you see it's still a little bit lumpy, but like I said, it's okay. It turned out delicious and moist. And then again, I'm weighing my pans, evenly distributing the cake batter into both pans. Now, earlier I said that I did not add my cake skirts. I don't know what these are called, so I'm just calling them cake pan skirts or cake pan wraps or something. But you use these to get a more even top on your cake. So when you're layering them, you won't you won't need to actually cut off the dome on top of the cake. And you see here how my cakes are a lot more flat than my chocolate cakes turned out. So then I also learned how to wrap and freeze the cakes, just because I wanted to prep the wedding cakes ahead of time, and make sure that they kept well in the freezer. So the first layer of wrapping is cling wrap. And I did this for, of course, all 4 cakes that I made. And I'm just kind of thinking through how I'm going to wrap these, and realized that I needed to do one more layer of wrapping, or I should say a second layer of wrapping, which was the aluminum foil. So I placed all 4 cakes on aluminum foil, which was the second wrapping, and then I added them to a freezer safe Ziploc bag. And it kept very well in the freezer with the 3 layers. So here I am with my vegan butter again. I am just kind of spreading it around. I'm preparing to mix it, whip it up with this shortening. It's an organic shortening that I found that was mostly palm oil and coconut oil. And I'm adding shortening to this frosting to make it more stable, because the vegan butter that I used was mostly avocado oil and a couple of other things, but because it was avocado oil, it was very soft, and I needed a stabilizer to be able to use it for frosting. So I creamed those together. Whipped those up in my mixer, and here's how it looks after probably about 4 or 5 minutes of whipping. And then I added some powdered sugar, vanilla, and salt, and that's how it looked. Then I took some notes. Several different things I learned from baking my test cakes. Hey, I wanted to show you guys. I just went grocery shopping for the bakery. And I wanted to show you some of the things that I purchase on a weekly basis, and then also what I'm getting for preparation for my wedding cake that I'm going to be doing. See if I can turn this thing around. So here I have some pumpkin, because I make pumpkin cookies on a weekly basis for one of the farms that we have here local. And they are actually increasing their order because of the fall, and they're going to have fall festivals and things like that, and school's coming in, and so they believe that, or actually they know they're going to be getting a lot more cookie orders. And then I have my organic chocolate chips that I get. I usually use these sometimes if I'm at Target. I'll get the Target organic Target brand. These only have, I think, 3 ingredients. It doesn't say it on here anymore, but it used to say it specifically on the front, only 3 ingredients. But I will show you that it only has 1, 2, 3. Yep, sugar, chocolate, and cocoa butter. So I use those a lot for my Buckeyes and for everything that I need chocolate for. Sorry, buddy. I'm doing a video. And then I get the eggs from different places, depending on the type of, or depending on the price, really. My standard, I guess, for eggs is at least cage free. I would like to get free range, but those are more expensive, and then that's not in my budget at this time. But I do get cage free, and I try to get organic. If I don't get organic, I do make sure that they are cage free. I have some lemons because the wedding cake is going to be a lemon, or one of the wedding cakes. I'm making 3 different cakes. 2 of them will be lemon. The other one will be chocolate with raspberry filling, and this is going to be the lemon's going to be a lemon cake with lemon curd filling. It's so delicious. I have my coconut milk. I didn't realize it, but I was using the canned one, and the canned one has guar gum in it, which I don't like. I like the less amount of ingredients, the better for me when I'm baking. That's why it's called Leah's Wholesome Bakes. So this one only has 2 ingredients, water and coconut oil. So I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing this whole time getting the canned, which has water, coconut, not coconut oil, just coconut. The canned one has water, coconut, and guar gum. This right here is the butter that I have to use. I cannot use any other butter. I'm stuck on this cultured butter. It just improves my baking so much more. Most of the butters that I have seen have cream and I think it's called just natural flavors. Yeah, most of the butters have cream and natural flavors. This only has cream and culture, which I'm very happy about. Very happy, but however, it is expensive. Usually I'll probably get like 4 of these. If they're on sale, I might get like 10. They were not on sale at the store that I went to. Kroger has them on sale right now, but I didn't get a chance to go there. I went to Meijer today. But so I got 6 of them because I know that there's a lot that I'm going to be baking this week, so I know I'm going to need more. I have like 4, I think, in my refrigerator area, waiting for baking. And then this Swerve is a sugar alternative, a confectioner's sugar alternative specifically for my sugar-free cupcakes that I'll be baking for the wedding. The bride and groom asked me to make some sugar-free cupcakes for those diabetics that will be at the party. And so I am using this to make my frosting for the cupcakes. And I wanted to show you the ingredients if I can find them. There they are. So the erythritol is it's an added ingredient because the sugar that they use is too sweet. So they use, actually no, I think the erythritol is the sugar. Oh my gosh, I can't remember now. I gotta look that up. But I think erythritol is a sugar. It's a natural sugar that does not affect the blood sugar. It says right there. So it says, so the carbohydrates it contains are considered non-impact. That's interesting. The erythritol, I think, is the sugar though. I was thinking that they used stevia in this one, but no, it was another one that I was looking at. Yeah. Yep. All right. So I'm using that for the sugar-free frosting, and then powdered sugar. I always have to have organic powdered sugar. I don't like to use any other type of powdered sugar in my baking and frostings and whatever else I'm using it in. So just organic sugar and organic cornstarch. The ones that I like the most are the ones that have tapioca instead of cornstarch. I don't know why, but I'm just not a fan of cornstarch. So, I think that's it. Yeah, this is my grocery items for the week that I will be using. Here I am on the day of frosting my actual wedding cakes. So you see here I have my large frosting bags, preparing 3 different tones of purple because she wanted an ombre look on her wedding cake, using lavender and white. So something that I'm still learning is keeping the cake board fixed to my turntable. So I put some tape at the bottom of the cake board, which isn't the best thing because it's really hard to pull up after the cake is on there, but I'm still learning. Anyway, here I am with my lemon cake, first layer, and my oven, unfortunately, every time I bake a cake, a large cake I should say, the cakes are usually uneven. So I have to take off a pretty good amount of cake off that top off of the top to even it out. And here's my second layer for the lemon cake. And again, it is not even, so I had to carve it again. Even when I turn the cake around mid-bake, it still turns out uneven, unfortunately. So that's something that I'm learning to deal with. If you have any remedies for that, please let me know, because I'm fighting that with my cakes in the oven. So I then cut my cake in half, both layers in half. This was a pretty messy job. I learned from cutting this part, or this one, that I shouldn't have cut it the way that I cut it. And then I make just a dam of frosting around the perimeter, and then add the first layer of the lemon curd, which turned out so good, y'all. That lemon curd I could eat all day long. Even when I didn't use, of course I didn't use dairy butter, I used the vegan butter to make the lemon curd, and it turned out so good still. But you see where a piece of the cake dropped off. Like I said, it was pretty messy by this point. But I have learned so much from making this dairy-free cake. And I was able to manage to get it together with my first layer of frosting there. With this cake, this first layer of the cake, I struggled, as you can see. This is my first attempt of making the ombre frosting on the cake. So I put the 3 frostings on there, and then I'm trying several different methods that I learned from watching videos. I feel like they all failed me. Oh goodness. But I feel like this was the best at this point. I was about ready to just let it go and say, okay, this is good, I'm just gonna let it go. So I went ahead and put that one in the freezer, and then moved on to my second lemon cake, which was a 6-inch. Once again, it turned out uneven, so I had to carve that Now that I think about it, if I would have used the cake skirts that I had, they probably would not have turned out uneven. Because during my testing, they didn't turn out like that. So, I'll have to do that next time. Anyway, I carved it and cut them in half. Oh, I'm sorry. Here I actually mark a line before I cut them in half, just to make sure that they all line up properly when I actually go to build the cake. The marker that I'm using is a food grade marker. And once again, I did not cut that in half the right way, and you saw some pieces falling off. And anyway, here I am creating my damn buttercream, adding my first layer of lemon curd. I wanted to save the buttercream that I had in my piping bags, so that's the reason why I just started to just kind of paint the dam on instead of piping it on, which it was okay. It turned out okay. So because I drew that line along the side of the cake, I was able to line everything up. And here I am frosting, making the second layer of frosting. There were a lot of imperfections on these cakes, but I had to let them go. And just pray that all works out well. Moving on to my chocolate cake, carving off the top layer, the top part of that cake. That one didn't really it wasn't as uneven as the lemon cakes were. So I carved that and mark it with the food grade marker, and then cut it in half. This one cut in half so much more easy than the lemon cake did. I think it was just a difference in texture. See how easy that was? And no crumbs. So yeah, I think it's the way that I made the two different cakes. I created my dam, and then this one has a raspberry filling inside, and I only made just one layer of filling. The bride asked for a 6-inch. Well, she wanted two of the cakes to be lemon, and then one of the cakes to be chocolate raspberry. And they were everything in the cake was dairy free. So then I began to apply my first layer of frosting, the crumb coat. And here I am applying my second layer of frosting, the final coat. This cake seemed to be a lot easier to frost, I guess because it was my third one that I practiced, or that I actually frosted. Still imperfections, but I'm learning. I'm learning how to let go and learning how to just keep working on it. And then I decided to add some rosettes to the top. Try to give it a little bit better look on the top so it wouldn't be so plain. And those turned out really good actually. They were kind of a two-tone rosette with the lighter purple and the darker purple. They were pretty good. And these are my sugar-free cupcakes that I made for those that were diabetics in the family. And I did the same thing. Filled those with lemon curd, sugar-free lemon curd, and sugar-free raspberry filling. And that's how they look. Alright, I am at the wedding venue and I am going to be delivering my first wedding cake, dairy-free. Oh, I'm so nervous because it took about 18 minutes to get here and there were some bumps and things like that, but nothing serious. But I'm super nervous about the cakes having an issue, structure issue. So we'll see how it goes when I get them out of the trunk. Ugh.